Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the video game backlog. And if you're anything like me, you have a massive backlog. In fact, I have over 7,500 hours worth of games on mine. So today I'm going to go over a few strategies on how you can eliminate your video game backlog. Alright, stage one is preparation. So in order to beat your backlog, you're going to have to prepare for it and really know what's on it. My suggestion is you get everything out of your head and get it into a system you can trust. Something I recommend is How Long to Beat, or you can even just use any Google spreadsheet. In fact, for method number 3, you'll need to use both. Some of the benefits of using a tool like How Long to Beat are options to import your Steam library, and there are various others. This isn't exactly a tool video, but more of a guide to the actions and steps needed to kind of get through your backlog. Now for these 4 methods, playing one game at a time is generally recommended, although you could mix it up, but I'd say that's a rule for all 4. And to preface a bit, I like to have a few categories so I don't just play one game and one game only. And to give some context, I tend to have a game for various categories. So I tend to have a solo game that I play on my computer, a game with my wife, a game with some friends, and then a game with another group of friends. So I tend to have about 5 games in rotation of sorts at any one time. All right, so method number 1, longest games first. And this method works because once you get through your 100-hour and your 50-hour games, your backlog is gonna seem like a breeze, and you'll likely get to some really good stuff, especially some good RPGs and acclaimed games first. Now, I'm a very do the hard things first kind of guy, so this is something I thought that would be my method of choice, but in reality, it definitely was not. Now, you essentially take your games and sort them by the time to beat. It's great to use something like How Long to Beat for this. And method number 2 is doing the shortest games first. And this is to get you some kind of momentum. It's kind of like the video game equivalent of the debt snowball. Myself, I have over 200 games in my backlog, so it is kind of appealing to get through some games that are more short and to kind of get the ball rolling and get that number of games down. So for example, you may have a 200 game backlog, but by the time you get through your 15-hour or less games, you might only have 100 left. Now, I've personally tried this one, but I ended up getting stuck just playing a lot of Toho games. And some backlogs can be like that if you're rigorous about your method without any flexibility. So I decided that one just wasn't for me. Okay, now method number 3, I don't hear a lot of people talking about, and that's to play them chronologically. So sometimes you'll be going through your backlog and it can be kind of jarring to go from a new game to some older games, and you take some things for granted, and it sometimes can be a very big mindset shift. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one, but I've tried it, and when I did try it, it was kind of fun. There is a sort of magic to going through your backlog this way. It's almost like a trip through gaming history, and I think that could be a really fun part of it. Now, this still isn't the method that I've landed on. I've actually tried this one as well, but I kind of got stuck very early on. I cleared off my old Atari games, and then I started to get to a point where 9 of the next 12 games would be like Final Fantasy games, just because a lot of them came out, in the early 2000s, late 90s. So given that, I didn't want to go through that many Final Fantasy games in a row, so I just decided that this method wasn't going to be it for me, at least for now. All right, and method number 4, the final method here, is a recent one that I've been going with, and it's actually kind of interesting too. I'm going to call it the fun per hour method. Now this one is a little more laborious and the setup time's different, but I'm personally one of those people that has fun putting stuff into spreadsheets, so the setup was fun and then the playing the games was fun, and it was a win-win for me. So you want to put all your games in a spreadsheet, and then you want to make sure that you have the hours to beat beside them. You can get as granular as minutes. I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can even put in hours as under an hour, or any of that as a fraction or a decimal of an hour. So, 0.5 or 0.75 of an hour. Now next you want to go to Metacritic. And not all your games will have this, but for the ones that do, get the Metacritic score and the user score, and you also want to place them in the spreadsheet. Now, since the Metacritic score is out of 100 and the user score is out of 10, I went ahead and divided the Metacritic score by 10. Then what you want to do is take your Metacritic score divided by 10 and divide that by the hours to beat. Then for the user score, you just want to divide that by the hours to beat. Then you just want to sort your spreadsheet by the highest score per hour for either the Metacritic or the user score, depending on what you want to do. Now what this does is it gets you a highly acclaimed game with little time to finish. So an example of one that popped up for me was Abzu, and it was a great experience. It was a kind of one of my first of those kind. And that game might have lingered on the backlog for a while. It was a short one, but it was quality. Now a negative of those is not every game will have a user score or even a critic score, and so you might have some left off or left in the dark. Another fun tip that I took was to take the critic score divided by 10 and divide that by the user score, and this gets you like a critic to user ratio, or you could swap it around and get a user to critic ratio, which I liked. And these are hidden gems, I would say, or they're cult following, cult classic kind of games. Your user over the critic score will give you games that users thought were really good, but critics didn't, which can be interesting. The other way around, you're more likely to find stuff that just got review bombed or anything like that. That's kind of a negative of the situation. But overall, this is an interesting method, and I believe it's one that not many people have talked about either. Most people give you one of the first two solutions or say pick a random game. So all in all, you can really choose whatever method you like. I've used 3 of the 4 so far. And remember, you can always retire games or just put them back for later. I mean, there are so many games, and this is something I've recently come to terms with. It's okay to retire a game, and a game may have been amazing for its time or for a person's situation in their life, but it may not be yours then and there, and you may come back to it. And as before, you can always just hit a random game and play it for an hour. In fact, I would say any game you try with this, try to give it at least an hour to kind of shake off your natural tendency to pick up and drop things if you're like that. So anyway, guys, this was a short one, but I appreciate you watching. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can click here. And I look forward to talking with you guys next time. Thanks.